everyone. He has done his MTech from IIT Kanpur and a PhD from University of Manitoba in Canada. His field of specialization is electrical engineering, and his special area of work is neural networks. He's been very active both in research as well as applied areas of engineering. He's been involved in the National Mission of Education. He's developed a pricing model for electrical supply and distribution. He's helped with prototype development for land records and testing of e-governance application for the state of Chhattisgarh. Just before the lecture, we were among nature, science, and society, and I very cordially welcome you to this room where many interesting lectures are held every week. Just before we start, I'd like to, without further ado, I'd like to invite Professor Kalra to talk on his subject.
Thank you so much, Ms. Ola. Do is that I'll walk around a little bit and then give a lecture, as professors do in the class. Basically, this bio-inspired system science, synergy between nature, science, and society. When I took over as a director of IIT Jodhpur in 2009, there were a lot of challenges which IITs were facing, as well as the education as a whole in the country was facing. I have to sit there only. So, we had actually a lot of debate that what kind of changes we can bring into the education arena. And these changes came through a lot of consultation, which was done at international level, which was done at national level, which were done from a diverse people coming from a different background. And we came out with set of courses for IIT Jodhpur which were interdisciplinary in nature but equally relevant for engineers' aspirations as well as what the future actually holds for them. However, a lot of people had a diverged opinion whether these things will succeed, would not succeed. Why should we do this? So my answer to all of them was that is it necessary that we have a compartmentalization of education? Why should humanities be taught separately? Why engineering should be taught separately? Why, philosophy, theology be dealt differently? So what happened was, after this discussion and debate, we thought we should have an education model which is seamless. Seamless in the sense that we decided we will not have any departments. There will be nothing called Department of Psychology, Sociology, Electrical Engineering or Mechanical Engineering and things like that. We all talk of well-rounded people coming out of the best institutions of the country, but it's become more important that we have well-rounded professors and teaching and non-teaching staff also, which is very rarely focused on. So to do that, what we said, that no two people of the same specialization will sit in the same room. If you are from chemistry, the other person will be from social science, or from mathematics, or from maybe, philosophy or something like that. So we tried to do that, and a lot of new ideas emerged as the outcome of this arrangement. However, now I believe that IIT Jodhpur is going to discontinue these programs for whatever good or bad reasons they have figured it out. The fundamental is to all of these things or new changes which we want to bring in education. Are we making carbon copies of Western education here in India? Are we duplicating IITs and replicating IITs in new institutions? Are we limiting our thought process by looking at the success in the past, like IIMs and IITs and other places? So how do we grow out of this stagnation, what I call, or a plateau, that to move upward and move upward with conviction and a logic? To do all that, I first wrote article which was about ABC. Actually, you'll have a part of the slide. It will come later. And I think I'll come back to this slide. Let me first discuss this. And this ABC I wrote about 6 years back when I was at IIT Kanpur itself. The question here was, what are the basic units which we should be teaching or which our students should be learning if it's a learning-centric institution? So nature is definitely a physical reality which you sense through your sensing organs, whatever it is. Science and technology is represented by a basic unit, what we call BIT, which is a basic computing, communication, and control unit of the system. Society and human beings is represented by biological cell, and which is an inner reality. Can we really figure that out or not? And can we connect inner reality with the physical reality or not? And even though we want to do that, the control bit and communication bit will be done by the bit or byte. So that paper, when I wrote, the title of that paper was ABC for capacity building, capability building, and competence building. How do you do that? The purpose here was that can we bring natural science and science of consciousness together so that whatever you are doing outside can be get connected to the inside processes. An example I'll give you because I received a lot of criticism when this was done. And the example I'll give you, which is very realistic. As a physical reality, all of us do brain studies and we do it in reductionist fashion. My question to all of them was at that time, if I take a brain out of human body, can it function as mind? Or can its correlate give inputs to the correlates to the mind? Can we do meditation of the brain which is outside the body? Can brain outside the body think? And as you all know, answer to all these questions is no, it's not possible. You just cannot do it. So you have to have a systems approach when you want to solve problems. You cannot do it things in isolation. Another real example, once I was asked by one of the consulting of US called PA Consulting that they are facing a major problem in electricity water nexus. And they made me to prepare a model for them. And I went up to the seed which we grow, because water consumption in fields is not by the fields itself, but what you grow there. And that presentation I made it to Ashok Gulati, who was very well known at that time, talking on food security and other things. And he says, to me, an electrical engineer thinking like this is nothing but a systems approach. Because we always cut short, we want to get solutions which do not give you complete picture. They don't give you the complete implications of those solutions. To do that, what we thought, it will be interesting to look at the synergy of these three. We had a workshop in IIT Jodhpur on quantum biology, which led to this bio-inspired system science also. And questions which all of us are asking were, how do the birds navigate? In any weather, from any place to any place, they can actually move. Photosynthesis. How many of you know it has an efficiency almost of 95% to 100%? But solar cells, we have not been able to reach to that level. Why? Because we have never seen how nature works. We want to shut our labs from the natural processes. Smell. Our nose can actually distinguish more than 100,000 types of smell. How it happens? And all these things were answered by nothing but a quantum physics, which again is very, very important to understand the inner reality, what happens inside body. But most of us get fascinated by what we see among ourselves, around ourselves, and the physical interactions, what happens. So it's very, very important for us to see that can we actually create a system which is really holistic in nature. And that's why in the beginning I said even teachers have to be thinking holistically rather than be expecting student to, be well-rounded, well-developed, and the teachers who are teaching them, they themselves are not well-rounded and well-developed. So there's a issue, and I was telling Ghazala that, today everybody writes in newspaper about the problems of education, nobody suggests you the solutions. But what I am going to propose here is plenty of solutions, provided people accept that. Recent in Time magazine, there was an article on D-Wave machine. I don't know how many of you know about it. It's a computing done almost at speed of light using quantum. This is the first quantum computer which exists now and which works at almost minus 400 degrees centigrade. They have created actual computer which is working. The another phenomena which fascinated me, I couldn't understand that well because I was not from a background of quantum physics, teleportations. You can see one atom at multiple locations simultaneously. This also makes it very clear and answer questions a lot of people that God exists at multiple locations simultaneously. It depends how you look at it. So if you want people to grow and become a people of thought process which is much higher than what we see, it becomes important to change fundamentals the way we look at education. And that's why I go back to a slide and I'll ask in the hall some people to react. What is the purpose of education? It's merely getting degrees or getting placed. If anybody would like to respond here.
Enlighten a person.
Yes, but enlighten in what sense? That becomes important.
To the complete society as a whole.
Okay.
How to interact with people, what all things are there in the society, and how to progress.
So what I have done, I have classified the types of placements, and we are all very happy, and our parents are very happy when we get a job after we get a degree, which is indeed a lowest level of placement one can think of. Really a lowest level. Then people talk about startups, they talk about innovation and creativity. And I was sharing with Ghazala and others before this lecture, my son a couple of days back asked me, why in innovation we talk only about technology innovation? Why can't we create a new language altogether? And I didn't have an answer because most of us mindsets which you read in newspapers, which you see at other places, it's to do with technology. Innovation and creativity comes from where? Who teaches them? How it is being taught? If the curriculum does not reflect innovation and creativity, it reflects stagnation. No student is going to learn innovation and creativity at all. And I will actually give you an example of this. Last July 2013, it's one of the government institutions. It's well renowned, very well placed in Indian ranking system. I was supposed to address the incoming students at IIT Jodhpur, and I said, whosoever has taken computer science has made a mistake. And it was intentionally a provocative statement so that people, react. Would you believe there was a person who was head of the Department of Computer Science in this institute, and he asked his son to take a computer science. But during a tea, he came and asked me, is this decision good? I said, who's taking a decision on your son's behalf? Who's taking a decision? It's you taking, your son taking a decision. He says, log kehte hain, isliye humne usko computer science. He's the head of the Department of Computer Science, teaching in a good institution, computer science, was not very clear why computer science is important. I'm not telling that this is good or bad, but what is more important is that we are not motivating people to think out of box. And my standard statement always is, if you are in a rat race, even though you win, you will be still called rat. So we need to change the thought process. And I said, whosoever actually goes for bio-inspired system science will be the winner after 10 years. Or goes for system science will be the winner for after 10 years. And one more program which we were supposed to create, but I left halfway through, art, culture and heritage. Why do we stick today on civil engineering only? There's a plenty of restoration which needs to be done all around our country. And it's an elitist job which one can get it actually. But all IITs are reluctant to start this program because they're scared of what would happen if they do something different. And I can share this. I was with one of the provost of MIT once, and there was a gathering like this. So he asked me, what is your specialization? I said, I am nowadays studying students, that how do we, do we decompress them and depressurize them? Because every student is very tense today, what will happen and so on. He said, what do you mean by this? I said, you have to host a dinner for me and I'll tell you what it means. And he really took me out for dinner. And I asked him, I said, MIT being the best and Times ranking, today newspaper also say they are one of the top 5 institutions. I said, why don't you change? And his answer was saying that, don't quote me, we're scared of change. If we fail, what will happen? So that fear, I think, kills us everywhere. That if we change, if IITs today, don't offer electrical, mechanical, computer science programs, will they remain IITs or not? So what we are looking at, the education must answer 3 fundamental questions. And those questions are origin of universe, origin of life, and beyond life what happens. And majority of IIT students would not actually, discuss even this because they're very scared what will happen beyond life. The reason is we are living in so much of fear. So how do we provide them security, but at the same time, how do we make them think very differently? So that is a key point here. So the purpose of education is not only innovation and creativity. Now the third point is, a lot of people came, big people came and asked me, how is this IIT Jodhpur or the Dalbagh Educational Institute is contributing for nation building and community building? That's a third, category. It goes, you go higher up from a job, you come to innovation, then nation building and community building. And my answer to them was, are they really searching solutions for us which are pertinent and important? And they asked, what do you mean by this? I said, are we solving our own problems? And they really, stopped for a while and they said, no. I said, that is where actually comes in. Until unless you don't solve your own problems, you will always remain, followers, because you cannot become leaders. India has today a serious crisis of leadership anywhere. Whether it's in education, public sector, or you name any serious sector, there's a serious crisis of leadership. The reason is that we were ruled for 600 or 400 years or whatever number of years. And then in 90s we became formally a service industry. And we took that our dharma, that we need to serve others. We don't have to become leaders. The question is that how do you become leader? And if you want to become a leader, you have to follow a path which is less traveled. You have to do things differently. But anyway, so the issue is the other outcome, which is again better than even community building, nation building, that you want to go for a higher education. You want to really answer some of these fundamental questions. But what is the highest level of education? As she said, it's an awakening. It's a consciousness, raising your thought process to a very high level. And it is independent of any religion, let me tell you that. Because today when you talk of spirituality and consciousness, people immediately start, associating with different types of religion. It's not religion which we are talking about. There are serious scientists, including Penrose, who are looking at investigation and consciousness. And if you start doing that, your thought process will automatically go higher and higher. And why I say this becomes important, because India was always a leader in this field. We gave up that leadership and we started providing solutions, started creating solutions for the others. That is where we lost our leadership and other people started dictating us. But anyway, coming down to when one of these Nobel laureates visited Diyarbakir, where I am right now heading, he looked at it, what a great philosophy of life and science is being developed and taught here at BEI. It almost perfectly matches my own conviction. I particularly like the balance between spirituality and nationality. We all have to make living, but at the same time, we have to provide some deep meaning to our existence. That is the purpose of actual education. And we did not actually do this because all of us look at packages. Lot of us look for jobs. So how do we come out of this? Now what we did at IIT Jodhpur, and which we are now going to implement at Diyarbakir also, is the vision and mission of this. Because all this motivated me to go beyond conventional branches. Now, this is one of the branches which I am going to discuss in brief here. And if you have questions, you can stop me in between too. And if you look at the courses which one needs to go through or the background one needs to develop, in each box you have different type of backgrounds which are needed. And they are boundaryless in the sense like you cannot have, different departments offering you different courses. They have to come together to understand how do we integrate so the meaning is conveyed in a sense of bio-inspired system science. To do this, we thought that the quantum mechanics is a fundamental, and the major change we did in basic courses is, which we succeeded very well. Most of these IIT students come out of coaching classes from Kota, Kanpur and other mandis of coaching. They all were very good in, particle physics because they have done so much of it. So when you offer them a first course on particle physics, they will not attend classes, but they all will get good grades because they have done it number of times. What we did, we said we'll offer you first course on quantum physics. Not a single student bunked the class even once because they did not know about quantum physics. But our purpose was that if they know quantum physics, we can carry them to a different level altogether in terms of their education. So what we did, we said that you will even study a computational neuroscience in first year if you are going to do this course, which was again a new course for them. And once they appreciate these courses, in fourth semester we actually taught them particle physics. And they came back to attend those classes because they knew that they do not know a lot of things which are taught in IIT. So to reverse that process, that they come to the classes, because absenteeism is one of the major issues at one time. I don't know what the status right now is. And challenge was that how do we actually bring different departments together? And this is what you see, how many departments have to contribute to create this program. You have to start with philosophy, anthropology, linguistics, large data analytics, computer science, neuroscience, life sciences and medicine, basic science and engineering. They all have to come together to create this program. We created this program successfully. You can visit IIT Jodhpur website and see the whole curriculum, the way it was developed. But the philosophy was not to investigate the diseased people. Because a lot of people in biotechnology and bioscience and, associate a disease and then they investigate, how to cure it. The fundamental to this program was, and this we did an international search, nobody studies a normal human being. Have you come across anybody here who studies a normal human being? The purpose here was to study a normal human being. And it's a precondition when you study a consciousness, the person should be normal. It should be disease-free mind. Then only actually you can study it. So what we did, we said it is for a study of a normal human being. So we have to reconstruct everything, and we have to also tell people, please do not actually associate any disease with any of these courses. We will not discuss about any disease. We will discuss about basic principles involved in this, which doctors did not take it lightly, because there were a lot of AIIMS professors also came when we were developing this course, and they did not take it lightly. They said, how can you study a brain of a normal human being? So we had to really struggle hard, but ultimately we succeeded. Why I am raising these issues is that if any of you gets motivated to look this even as a research topic, you don't have to go, because most of the places when you look at fMRIs, MEG, EEG data, they will say, this part of the brain was not functional like this, it's not a normal behavior and things like that. We said all that is out. So what we did, we created this, and when we created this, a lot of people asked questions. To me, that IITs is basically for engineers. And at best we have humanity department, and now people have bioscience departments also. But what a BTech student will do it? Why should we call this as a BTech program? So my argument to them was that if you go to 5-year-old BTech program up to 3rd year, they were doing only fundamental and basic courses for 3 years. Now what we are doing here is we are changing those fundamental blocks. We are not making major changes out of that. But again they said, their parents asked me this question in the same meeting like last July, what jobs are they going to get if they do these programs? Because again their objective was a job which is a lowest level placement, as I mentioned. not to see that their kids are growing beyond a certain level. We had to do this exercise also because we knew that a lot of people will come and ask this question. And we told them, these are the students who are going to get a job in All India Institute of Medical Science. Because today technology and biology understanding does not come easy. Because in AIIMS you have only people who understand medical science. I said these are the people which will go to National Brain Research Center who is doing research purely on brain, but they need a lot of technology and mathematics background. So people got convinced to a great extent that there are enough job opportunities. But what they missed, that they have an opportunity to look at something totally new, because this was the program in the whole world at undergraduate level which only IIT Jodhpur was offering. You have a similar program at Harvard but at a master's level. So we plan to create a crop which will be very different. Similarly, when we did exercise with art, culture and heritage, they said what these people are going to do. We took them to Broom Museum in Jodhpur. And I said, look at the technology involved in brooming. The kind of number of types of brooms what you have. So people doesn't actually, people don't think in a way our new generation should start thinking about it. So anyway, so this is, I thought I will bring it here. So do we need to redefine purpose of education? My answer is definitely yes. If you really want to become leader, you have to create new education models. You have to create new curriculums. You have to change the thought process of parents. You have to change the thought process of children. You have to change the thought process of teachers. You have to change the thought process of policymakers who take decisions about education. How should the education create national builders and community builders? So if you want to become a nation builder, how US got built? If you get into the history, when I was student in IIT Kanpur in 1979-81, I remember most of the journals which are famous in electrical engineering was being published from UK. US was just taking over, but they were not there. But when I graduated out of my PhD in 87, I found that most of the journals which were prominent in research in electrical engineering were from US. That transitions happened. Because US started thinking at a much higher level of education than what we thought, basically what UK had thought. Some of the universities in UK had not graduated out of annual system. The US was even looking at trimester semester. So a system, they were looking at credit-based system that whenever you finish credits, you can graduate. There was no minimum requirements at time, the university. So if you don't think ahead of time, we will be missing bus again in bringing changes in education system. Is the purpose of education to produce employable students, or it's to develop thinking human beings? This statement I have purposefully written. Most of the people belonging to industry treat students as products. And I had a big disagreement always with them. Development of human beings as a product, that means you kill the person. You're treating them lifeless objects. It's something similar to, today there was a lot of fashionable word, finishing school. You don't finish education through finishing school. That's absolutely a wrong way of looking at education. Education should be always broad-based. Should education empower students to solve local problems or get ranked? I'm very sure after today's newspaper, there will be plenty of arguments that no Indian institution has appeared in first 200 institutions of the world. My question to all of them is, people who raise such questions, why CBS covered IITs thrice or twice on 60 Minutes. Why US Senate has given credit to the IIT systems that they have contributed significantly. It's a US Senate to their economy of US. We may not be ranked, but what we are doing is an excellent job. Same ranked top 10 or 20 institutions except our students. And those students makes a difference in their ranking. So we are a part of pipeline. So we must do a job well what we are doing. Not we should actually get ranked and compete. The thought process is, I think, going haywire when we start saying that, Berkeley is there, Stanford is there, MIT is there. But why majority of students are Indian there or Chinese there? Those students coming out of the institution, they are not ranked, but they are world-class students. So we should not get marred by what we call this ranking process too much. We should not get worried about it. We should be able to solve our local problems. America decided long back that they will only produce arms. Rest of the things they are going to import. Today they became world leader in doing that. Can we not take a decision today what India wants to actually lead, in which direction we want to lead? And if we want to lead in that direction, we must actually, go with the conviction and do the job. Should education contribute only to economical development? This is again, if you don't earn money after you get educated, you think this guy is not competent enough. Most of the countries are not built by money only. You can have plenty of money, but no thoughts and no ideas, country will not go anywhere. So it's not important only to contribute to economical development. What are the ways and means to engage students to foster higher order thought process? And now I will take a couple of minutes. Do I have? Or it's 45 minutes I am over? 5 minutes, 7 minutes, okay. See, the institution which I am right now heading has a very, very innovative education model. And this education model starts from pre-nursery, not from the higher education. And on class 6th onwards, we offer them compulsory courses to develop them into a good human beings, because that's a most important contribution of education. And they all go through 6 compulsory courses to appreciate at least 6 basic qualities of human being. Dignity of labor. All students have to do compulsory course as an agriculture operation. They have to go to fields, work with their hands. The second is get connected with the villages around. They have to do a course on rural development. They must respect pluralism in society, and that is where they do a course on comparative study of religion. They must respect a culture of various kinds of background people come from, and we offer a complete course on culture. We build their general knowledge through offering a compulsory course on general knowledge. And over and above all this, sports is a compulsory course for all of them. And it has been proven outdoor sports develop the same areas of brain as physics, chemistry and mathematics actually do. So when you talk of holistic education, you don't talk of synergy of humanities and engineering. You go much beyond that. All the students have to do work-based experience courses at least 2 times in a given degree. All of them have to do at least 2 courses outside their faculty, even from class 6 onwards. They have to go out to the school to do some of these things, so that there is an appreciation of what we want to do. So, issue again comes in, a lot of people say ethics, values and quality of life we should teach them in classes. You can't teach them these things in classes. They have to imbibe, and they will imbibe by seeing people around them. That is what we do it when they participate in such programs. And now we have decided that on every Diwali we are going to celebrate Value and Quality Education Day. Batti dimag ki jalni chahiye. It's very important. So, and we are in existence for last 100 years. We are celebrating our 100th year. So it's not that it's a new model. It's a very, very well-established model, and most of us have done very well in our life. But if somebody is interested, I have a couple of more PowerPoints, but she's looking at me. No, I will answer questions and show you that.
Yeah, I think through the discussion we'll be able to open up more
Yes,
aspects
no
of the Albagh and his experiences.